It's a very strange feeling to be 36 years old and to have basically already gotten everything that you want in life. I'm engaged to my fiancée, and a couple of years ago, my fiancée, she inherited some money, and that allowed us to purchase a house that we now own outright. There's no mortgage, nothing like that. And with that, I've also gotten a career that for all intents and purposes, is the ideal career. At least it is for me. It's not the highest earning job, and in fact, I am self-employed, so the money is a little bit unpredictable. It can, there's ups and downs, ebbs and flows. Sometimes I have a really good month, sometimes not such a great month. I am actually already a YouTuber. I have a different channel, which is the one that pays the bills. I won't say what it is here, because it's unrelated to this sort of thing. If you recognise my voice somehow from that channel, then, that's fine. It doesn't really matter if you do figure out who I am, but I'm not going to say it here. But the thing is, that doesn't really matter, the fact that it's not a particularly high earner of a job, and there's no pressure on me to earn lots of money because, like I said before, we own the house. There's still bills and everything like that, and you still have to buy food, put fuel in the car, stuff like that. But overall, the pressure that I feel is virtually non-existent. So it's weird to be in a position, this is quite early on in life. Like I said, I'm in my late 30s, and I've essentially achieved the much coveted boomer lifestyle. I've got my own house, I've got my own car, I make enough money to make ends meet. Got a fiancée who I love very much and who loves me. So why do I find myself so profoundly unsatisfied? Because despite having a life that is very full, and I'm very fortunate to have, I've got, family members who I see regularly and spend time with. I've got a fiancée, I've got all the material things that one could ever want, really, in this life, on a modest scale. It's not like I live in a mansion and drive a brand new Mercedes or anything like that. It's quite modest, if I'm being perfectly honest. But it works for me. It's good. I'm not really somebody who has expensive tastes in most things. I don't particularly covet living in a 10-bedroom house. I'm not after the Andrew Tate lifestyle or anything like that. So I'm pleased with what I've got, and I don't really want for anything else, and yet I do at the same time. There's just been this all-pervading, lingering emptiness that I've been feeling for a little while now, but it's been particularly strong for the past couple of months. I haven't made a video on my previously mentioned, breadwinning channel for a couple of months now, and I've had absolutely no desire to do so. I just can't bear to look at the thing. It's because it's a very niche kind of interest, that channel, and YouTube likes to punish you for doing anything outside of what your niche is on your channel. You try anything else, you try to do anything else that you find interesting, it doesn't push the video at all. So I've ended up feeling trapped by that. It's been a pretty miserable experience for a little while now. The channel's been going for about 5 years. My interest in the channel has waxed and waned over its lifetime, and now it's gotten to the point where I just really don't want to do anything on it at all. I cannot bring myself to do it. It's the idea of making another video, having to open up the editing software on my laptop and write a script and record the thing and go back and record it again when I make mistakes. It's just daunting, and it's literally the last thing I want to do now. And when you couple that with the idea that you don't know if YouTube is a guaranteed thing long term, you don't know if it's going to be something that you can do for the next, I don't even know if it'll be viable in 5 years' time. I'm thinking that in 5 or 10 years, YouTube is just probably going to be 99% AI, and the algorithm will push AI content, I hate that word, by the way, AI content, instead of videos made by real creators. That's just the way I see it going. I think that's probably the most likely outcome for YouTube. So I have a fairly good thing going now, but how long is that going to last? The fear of the future is always there, and I wonder if in my haste to get away from employment and get into self-employment, I've really kind of shot myself in the foot, because I've been doing this for a few years now, just been self-employed, had my own channel, but in a few years, if that just comes to an end, I may have to just try and get a job again. And how easy is that going to be? Jobs are almost impossible to come by these days, let alone if you've not really been in employment for several years. So that makes it 10 times, 100 times harder. And while I have been self-employed, I've been filing tax returns and things like that, so it's all on record. Will it be sufficient for an employer? Will they look at what I've been doing for the past few years and not acknowledge it as something that's truly work-related? I mean, I've built up skills with editing, using editing software and stuff like that, but how much use is that going to be when I have to go for a job pushing trolleys around at the local Morrisons or something? So I wonder if I've just doomed myself, really, for short-term gain, and I wonder if this boomer lifestyle that I've got is going to come crashing down around me in just a few short years' time. It's a pretty scary prospect, to be honest, and I have visions of myself in the future as a middle-aged man in extreme poverty who can't get a job and can't make money anyway, because what I've been doing is just basically useless. That's the thing. I'm haunted by ideas of my existence just being completely inconsequential and useless. Now, I know that's probably, to be frank, the case for a lot of people, but at least they can feed themselves, even if they have like a non-job, like a contemptible government job or something like that, where they produce absolutely nothing. They can at least put food on the table and fuel in the car, and I may not be able to do that in just a few years. So I think it's fair to say that I have been going through a pretty extreme existential crisis for the past, at least, for quite a long time, really, but it's been really, really intense for the past couple of months. It doesn't seem to show any signs of ending anytime soon. I think I'm definitely stuck in a rut. The thing is, all I do now, I haven't really worked on my channel, like I said, for a couple of months. That was when the last video came out. And right now, my days, they consist of, I hang out with my fiance. We've been watching a lot of Star Trek recently. So we kind of do that and then just go for little days out, then do the usual mundane stuff, go shopping, things like that, get the food, groceries. And then when she's at work, I'm at home by myself. And I'm not somebody who really minds being alone. I'm quite happy. I've always been very happy in my own company. I'm not somebody who is prone to loneliness. A lot of people are. But it's not something I can understand it in theory, but it's not something I've ever felt in my entire life. I don't think I've ever felt lonely. Even when I've been on my own at times in the past for years at a time, and it's not fazed me at all. But anyway, what I do is when I'm on my own, I just play Fallout 3. It's that game, that's probably my favourite video game of all time. That is my all-time number one favourite video game, Fallout 3. And I've done playthroughs on it before over the 17 odd years that it's been out. I like it much more than subsequent releases, New Vegas, Fallout 4. I've never played Fallout 76. I'm not really interested in online games at all. But Fallout 3 for me is just... It came out at a time in my life that was miserable. I was working in a factory. I was doing 12-hour shifts. It was a freezing cold chicken factory, making those ready meals you get in those foil pots with the clear film over the top that you buy in, here it was for a shop called Marks and Spencer. It's like an upmarket food and clothing store. And I worked there for 4.5 years, and I worked there from 2007 until 2011, and Fallout 3 came out in 2008. So it was not far into my 4.5 years at that really shitty job that I absolutely despised, and I was depressed AF when I was working there. Really, really hated it. Fallout 3 gave me some joy back then. I wasn't getting much joy at that time, but Fallout 3 was just like, it was a mind-blowing experience for me. Blowing up Megaton for the first time. There's very few gaming experiences that can really compare to that. So I wonder if I'm just desperate to go back to a simpler time. Although nowadays is quite simple for me. It's simple, but I end up complicating it by, I think because I'm aware of many more things now than I was back then. Life was much more straightforward for me at that time. So maybe I'm just desperately trying to get back to something resembling that. But Fallout 3 is just, that's pretty much what I do now. I've been playing that, and I've been reading several books, and this is probably a clue as to my current state of mind, but I've been reading books about death, basically. So one I read recently and finished just a few days ago is one called The Executioner's Bible. It's by a writer called Steve Fielding, and it's about the British hangmen, executioners of the late 19th and 20th century. And, it's a fascinating read. A look into the lives of people who, executed criminals for a living. And I finished that a few days ago, and the one that I'm reading now is called The Undiscovered Country by Carl Watkins. And that one is about people's attitudes towards death from the medieval times in this country. And I haven't finished it yet, I assume it goes up to the present day. So, I'm reading books about death and killing, and, well, not killing, but, executions, and playing Fallout 3. And that's pretty much what my days consist of at the moment. And I just can't seem to get myself out of this rut that I'm in. And it occurs to me that at this age, at 36, I've speedrun my entire life. I did obviously all the normal stuff in childhood. I did school, and then I did a bit of college, and then I worked for a while. And now I've become self-employed, and I've got passive income coming in, so I've not been having to work. The passive income from my YouTube channel has been making me money to pay the bills, and I haven't had to lift a finger or do a thing. So I'm now in the bored retirement phase of life, about 40 years too early, which is crazy. I don't really know where I go from here. It's going to be a very weird thing if I have to get a job again in a few years, because that'll be like restarting life all over again. And do I really want that? I don't know. But do I want to carry on with it as it is for potentially who knows how many decades? I'm not in the best of health. I've got high blood pressure. I'm at risk of diabetes because I am overweight. I'm trying to lose weight, but it's hard because I love the slop so much. The processed seed oil infused slop that is cheap and extremely tasty. I just love it, and that's kind of my addiction. Some people become alcoholics, some people become drug addicts. Me, it's fast food and junk food. Those are my vices, just as potent as any other vice, I might add, because they cause a chemical reaction in your brain, and that's what addiction is the, dopamine and all that stuff being activated by something you find intensely pleasurable. And for me, it's junk food that does that. So you never know, I may end up only living into my 50s, maybe. I might end up dying of a heart attack at the age of 52 or something like that, which is not... I've come to terms with that, to be honest. I don't know if I'm really somebody that wants to live into my 90s or what have you. I don't think that's like, what can you really do past your 60s? You know, you start falling apart from if you're lucky, you might get to about 70 without ending up with serious health problems. So if I was to die in my 50s, then I don't know. I don't think it's not exactly tragic in my view, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, I appreciate you listening to this. I thought I'd try my hand at starting a kind of vlogging channel like this where I can just get my feelings out and have somebody hear them, because really my way in life is, if somebody asks, if there's something up, if somebody asks, "Oh, everything all right?" my immediate reaction is to just go, yeah, everything's fine. That's just how I am. I'm not really a complainer, I don't think. I'm not really somebody that moans in my, I'm moaning here a lot, obviously, and have been doing for about, quarter of an hour or so. But in real life, I'm not somebody that really complains much. Mostly because I just don't want to burden people with my problems, I guess. So it's nice to be able to just say what's on my mind here. Sorry it's been a bit of a ramble, and hopefully it's been reasonably coherent and articulate, and you've been able to understand what the hell I'm talking about. But that's it for this one. I think I'll probably make this a habit of just coming to this channel and just doing a stream of consciousness type thing, get all my thoughts out there. So yeah, thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.